Hi, everyone. Today I'm going to tell you a story, a belief code story that just happened with me. And it's great to replay kind of for students these stories when I'm really fresh, when they have just happened and I've just cracked the codes and already seen the outcome, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a great example of belief codes in action, how sometimes startling the manifestation of the code can be, how rapid the recovery can be once you clear the code, but mostly how amazingly impacting the and potentially harmful the manifestation of a belief code can be. A simple belief code. This is a simple belief code. So anyway, here's the story. About a month ago, a little over a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, I have two homes. I have my personal home and I have a rental home here in Sedona. And my dryers, my clothes dryers, break down at both properties within days of each other. And I thought that was very weird. And, if I wasn't so busy at this particular time, I would go in and I'd find out what kind of belief codes attracted that, because belief codes are always attracting situations, especially situations we don't like. They play such a huge role in problematic situations in our life. And but I just put it on the back burner, and it's okay. So I've attracted dryers breaking down. Great. I'm going to just fix it. I'm not going to have to hassle. Not going to hassle with it. I just hope whatever codes that caused it don't wake up again. I'm just getting on with other things that I consider more important than a dryer, or two dryers. So in my personal home, I have a warranty, one of those home warranties that cover repair or replacement of the equipment if it breaks down. And so I call the warranty company, and they send guys out. And the kind of long and short of the story is that it takes three visits. This drags on, seemingly forever. Drags on for over a month, getting the right parts and getting this repair done, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So supposedly last week, the repair was done. And well, it was Friday, so it wasn't even last week. It was less than 5 days ago. And the repair was done. The guys leave. They're very nice, all that kind of thing. And the guys leave, and I go to run my first load of laundry where I'm actually going to get to use the dryer instead of air drying outside that I've been doing for a month. I put the clothes in the dryer, close the thing, and I noticed right off the bat that the dryer is very noisy, abnormally noisy. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm not remembering correctly how noisy it was, but I don't think that's it. I think it was not this noisy, but I really quickly in my mind, oh my gosh, this has already taken a month. I'm not going to hassle with it. I'll just put up with a noisy dryer. I'm just not going to hassle with it. I'm not going to call them back, and just left the laundry room, and out I go. Well, about 2 minutes go by, and I had walked outside into the backyard, and I was standing kind of near this water faucet area near a closet where my hot water heater is and my heater for the house is. And all of a sudden I'm smelling this burning. And I'm sniffing, I'm going, what is that? And I realized, it can't be my air conditioner, because my air conditioner isn't connected to that system. And it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger, literally by the second. And I thought, gosh, something is on fire. And so I rush into the house and, sniff around trying to find it. And I realize it's coming from the laundry room. I open the laundry room door. There's no smoke, but it is just horrifically smelly. It smells like rubber is just burning. I lean over to turn the dial I lean down to turn the dial on the front of the dryer, and I actually touched the top of the dryer, and it was so hot it burned my arm. Actually, like a scalding on my arm. I removed my arm really fast. I thought, oh my God, this dryer, something's burning or it's on fire or something. And I pulled the cord. It's a gas dryer, but it's got an electric, some component of it that's electric. So I pulled turned it off. I pulled the plug and just waited. I was so, nervous about the whole thing. It caught me so off guard, and it frightened me that I thought, oh, gee, should I call the fire guys, the firemen, to come over and make sure that I don't have something happening in the walls or whatever. I didn't know how bad the problem was, but I calmed myself down. I took a couple of breaths and I just said, okay, let's just wait a minute or two. I don't see any smoke, and let's just see what happens. Well, I could tell that it was calming down, and it took about a half an hour before it cooled down totally. And the smell, it took over 24 hours for the smell to dissipate in the house. But I called the dryer company or the warranty company right away and said, gosh, something's really wrong with this dryer. You need to send the guys back, and they need to take another look at this because it is absolutely not repaired properly, and I left that alone. But at this point, the red flag had gone up for me, and it went from a low priority from a standpoint of figuring out what the belief codes were that attracted this to top priority on my list, because this was a dangerous situation. This could have caused a fire in my home, and massive amounts of damage, very dangerous, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Plus, the dryer is right next to a gas line, right behind the wall where the dryer is a gas line that runs into the house. So if a fire were to start in that room where the dryer was, it could cause an explosion and destroy my whole home, and possibly harm me, my animals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So top priority at this point, it goes to my list, and I go to find the code. So I start by just finding out what kind of code is it? Is it a present life code, past life code, inherited code? What kind of code am I dealing with? Well, it's a past life belief code, one past life belief code that caused this. It was from 3,200 years ago, and it was in a lifetime where I was not in human form, but I was let's just say assisting with the planet, and a catastrophic event that happened on our planet, planet Earth, about 3,200 years ago. Now, I know a lot about this time period and about this event because I've had many other belief codes surface from the time period and the activities that I was involved with at that time, and the things that I saw, the things that I experienced, etc. But here apparently was a code that I hadn't seen before that had come to the surface. And the code was about fire. What happened 3,200 years ago was either a fragment of an asteroid or a meteorite or something hit our planet, and it caused massive damage and lots of chaos, catastrophe. It caused huge blocks of land, huge, massive blocks of land mass to literally light on fire. And my belief code that formed at the time was I was worried about certain groups, animals, humans, others, that the basic belief code went, if we do not put out the fires, there's going to be great suffering. They are all going to die. And that was the basic way the belief code was structured. Now, so the code says I've got to be putting out fires in order to prevent the suffering of trees. We were also very worried about the trees and the plant life in general, but mainly trees. And I've got lots of trees on my property. They've been on my mind right now in my current lifetime because I'm preparing to sell my house, and one of my top priorities, I've got these really ancient trees on the property, and my top priority is to attract someone who will take care of the trees and honor the land, take care of the trees, that type of thing. So trees have been on my mind, and my subconscious obviously has been checking rules about what do I know, how do I protect the trees, what do I need to do to protect the trees, and so that's one of the things that causes me to tap into this lifetime 3,200 years ago. I'm tapping into a memory of how to protect the trees, how to protect the animals, the wildlife, that type of thing. The other thing that's going on right now, belief codes, let me back up. Belief codes are not always active. They become problematic when they are awakened in your memory system. And there always has to be something going on in the present that pushes the activation button. So one thing that was going on is me putting my house on the market and being concerned about attracting the right buyers that are going to take care of the trees. The other thing that's going on is massive forest fires. In California, there are just forest fires just totally out of control. Here in the Sedona area, there have been, just in the last month and a half, there has been forest fire activity. Just in this past week, during this time frame that I experienced this fire episode with my dryer, this burning episode with my dryer, There were forest fires that started that were visible from Sedona in the hills that surround Sedona. There's big helicopters flying over us every day, so it's very apparent. There's smoke in the air. It's very apparent that there's forest fire activity going on. So my mind is also checking, what do I know about fire, about forest fires, and what are the rules on, my subconscious history and rules on belief codes, on advice from my history on dealing with forest fires, massive forest fires. And of course, again, I tap into this 3,200 year lifetime. And there the code is set. The code that I craft at the time is I've got to put out forest fires or others are going to suffer. That's how simple the code was. Now, I personally am not experiencing forest fires in my backyard. Nothing is on fire. But once you activate belief codes, if the thing that needs to be accomplished isn't going on in your immediate environment, your manifestation operating system will actually create the opportunity for, in my case, me to put out a fire so that I can fulfill the letter of the code. You need to fulfill the letter of the code in order to prevent whatever's going to happen next. If you don't experience that, then what's going to happen is that you care about, in my case, animals and trees, are going to suffer somehow. So my system conveniently, in an attempt to help me and protect everyone I care about, created a situation where a fire started. And by the way, a fire really did start. The guy just left the house today. The repairman just left the house today about 2 hours ago. And he just couldn't explain why something like this would have happened. He started the dryer. He couldn't duplicate the problem. And I said, I'm just not comfortable having you leave the house with, I'm not making this up. There really was this extreme smell of fire. There really was something burning. And I'm not going to be satisfied until you find out what could have caused this problem, even if it's not occurring now, because I don't want to put myself at risk for a fire in this home a second time. And so anyway, he took the dryer apart and he's crawling under there and he says, oh my gosh, you hear him talking from the laundry room. Oh my gosh, he says, I found the problem. And the new belt that he had put on around the drum, or however it works in the dryer, had broken in half. And he pulled it out and it had not broken in half. Well, it had broken, but it was also burned. And he said that probably what happened is that noise that I heard initially was, he did remember that the belt fit extremely tight. It was very, very difficult for him to get it on. And he said that what he thinks happened is that the belt, because it wasn't appropriate for the machine, snapped and from the pressure, and that part of the belt actually landed on the gas burner in the dryer and lit on fire. So there was a fire in my home in the dryer. And evidence of that was because you could see the burn marks on the belt. So my system, the long and the short of it all here, is that my operating system, in an attempt to fulfill the letter of code and prevent any suffering for others, animals, trees that I'm concerned about all the time, created conveniently for me a little fire so that I could put it out and fulfill the letter of the code. So I put it out. Obviously I was successful with that. I know what's going on. It will never happen again. And I found the code and I cleared the code. The way I cleared the code was just acknowledging it. If you know the strategies for finding what are called memory keys and key components of the belief codes that are formed in your past, whether it's this lifetime or a past lifetime, then it's easy to collapse the codes if you know how to find these things called memory keys. And so I easily collapsed the code. I felt very, very calm about the whole thing. The guy says, I'm going to go out to my truck and I'm going to just, look up a few things, see what we can do here, and blah, 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 blah. He comes back in and he says, here's what I think we should do. He says, this wasn't on the original order, but I checked, and if I were to add to the order that the dryer needs to have the seal replaced on the door, which would make for better airflow, didn't have anything to do with the belt breaking or burning or anything like that. He said, I checked, and the seal is no longer available for that particular model of dryer. So it would basically result in you getting a brand new dryer. And he said, so if it's okay with you, that's what I'm going to go ahead and report, that you need a new seal, and that will prompt a whole new dryer for you. And I said, sure, that sounds fine, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I just got off the phone a half an hour ago with the warranty company, and they're replacing the entire dryer. So all risk of any kind of fire situation in the house is gone. We found out what the problem was. But I tell you this story because it is a perfect example of the absolutely amazing, never ceases to amaze me, ever, manifestation impact of belief codes when they activate, and especially when belief codes activate where there's a strong emotional charge associated, really strong emotional charge associated with whatever the code was related to in the past, and there's a similar type of emotional charge, not necessarily as strong in the present. I have to admit, as I smelled the smoke outside this past week, and as I would hear those helicopters especially flying over, every time I heard it, it just caused just heart palpitation. You know, I just got nervous. It was definitely stimulating fear responses. Well, those fear responses were strong enough to actually add to the pile and manifest an outcome like this that rapidly. So there you have it, belief codes in action. Now I have got a fantastic seminar coming up. It's a workshop, 4-hour workshop coming up July 30th. I'm going to very specifically in this workshop be teaching to beginners an advanced technique or the introduction to an advanced technique that I use all the time to clear codes like this, called the memory key method. So if you'd like to learn more about belief codes in general, if you would like to learn this memory key method, which is phenomenally powerful in regards to shifting circumstances back to the positive, usually profoundly positive, very, very rapidly, you want to attend that workshop. So you can click on the link here on this video, and it'll take you right to the information about the workshop. That's it for today. Hope you enjoyed the story and learned a little bit just hearing the story. Bye for now.